Welcome back folks, and welcome back to a new video. So today we're gonna be talking about the latest news from CD Projekt in general, and a lot of that is going to be about the next Witcher game. We are going to touch on Cyberpunk 2077 by the end of this video, and the two topics, the biggest ones for today, is the first one, the interview, or well, the podcast, which was done by Flow Games, where Sasko was a guest. And I do believe that Flow Games is a Brazilian gaming podcast slash gaming news. I could be wrong about this, but there is a really long podcast where Sasko talks about games he has worked on in the past, like for example The Witcher and Cyberpunk, and also about the future of CD Projekt games in general. And one of the things which kind of popped out most from this podcast or this interview are the articles we started getting about the next Witcher game. So for example, the next Witcher game is in its most advanced state of development among all the games currently underway at CD Projekt, ahead of The Witcher remake and Cyberpunk 2. Now, of course, this is true, and it's not really a surprise, because if we go back to the development teams which are engaged in ongoing projects, which was done in the latest investors report, we see that by the April 30th of 2024, there are 407 people working on Project Polaris, which is basically the first, or well, the next first Witcher game in their new Witcher trilogy. And from a while back, we also know that basically CD Projekt decided to go with the next Witcher first, and then after that we're gonna be getting all of the other games, which does include the Witcher remake, because they're gonna be using the tech and what they basically make for the next Witcher game that's gonna be used in the Witcher remake as well. Now, on the other side, we also have the Project Sirius, which is a Witcher spin-off game that is done by the Molasses Flood studio that CD Projekt acquired a while back. Now, this studio has, I don't know what actually happened internally, but basically Sirius went through a full reboot in 2023, meaning whatever they were working on either wasn't good enough, or maybe they didn't really, vibe with the idea in general. So what ultimately happened is that the project was rebooted, but it's still in development at this point in time, so I won't be worrying about that as well. Now, of course, when it comes to other projects like the Project Hadar, which is the new in-house IP from CD Projekt Red, we don't know anything about it, and I do believe we're not going to learn anything about it for quite a while, being that, in my opinion, I think this is the most, this project is gonna be the last in all of this lineup of video games that CD Projekt Red has announced, so it's really gonna be, I think, at least 2 more years until we learn anything about Project Hadar in general, maybe even longer. But a lot of that is going to depend on their investors, calls and investors meetings, because at the same time they kinda have to hype some things up when it comes to investors, so they're probably gonna be sharing that information as soon as they're ready to talk about it. So to go back to the next Witcher game, Sasko in the podcast said most of those projects are in early stages, as we talked about it. The only difference is the Polaris project, so the new Witcher saga that will enter production this year. It's the most advanced of all of those. So if you don't know, the actual Witcher game is gonna be entering production in the second half of 2024. That's the plan right now. Now, of course, a lot of people started asking, why is the game in pre-production for so long? Because yes, it has been in pre-production for a very long time. The reason for it is that when you have a project this big, especially with everything that was happening with CD Projekt Red during the Cyberpunk development, even during the Witcher 3 development, they went through a huge transition after that to make the general workflow and their projects a bit more streamlined, so that they don't fall into the same trap, or they don't back themselves into the corner during production like they did with, for example, with Cyberpunk 2077, which ultimately results in a lot of problems, which, at the end of the day, kind of appear once that game is out. So pre-production in general, doesn't matter which project it is, whatever you're doing in any sort of a medium, pre-production is one of the most important steps in the whole creation, because if you do a good and detailed pre-production of your projects, that means that the actual production, well, is gonna be flowing a lot better. It doesn't have to be that way every single time, you're gonna run into issues, but if you do a good pre-production, you're gonna be minimizing those issues so that they don't happen during the production or even post-production itself. So honestly, I am really happy that they're taking their time with this pre-production, because ultimately, that's gonna be helping the production itself, making the workflow a lot better, and at the end of the day, giving you a much better game in the end. A game which is, going to be released, hopefully, and it's not going to have any major issues. And one of the things I actually said back then when this article came out is like, see you in 2026, 2027. So I do firmly and personally believe that when it comes to the next Witcher game, my kind of a time frame for this is like the most optimistic but also the most unrealistic idea is that this game comes out in 2026, which is has a very low chance of doing this, because at the end of the day, this production is gonna be going on for at least 2 to 3 years, depending on what they want with it. Now, of course, we shall see how their workflow is gonna be, faster or slower with, Unreal Engine 5, but the actual, CD Projekt Red did say that, during some investors Q&A, that they're already, having a better workflow with Unreal Engine 5 because some of the things are streamlined. But honestly, my personal, kind of wish for, the next Witcher game is most likely and most realistically sometimes around 2027. Of course, it can go up to 2028. Some people have been saying 2030. That's not going to be the case. That's going to be too long, because at the end of the day, this is a business and they have to make money somehow. Your cash flow is not gonna be going up or being in a positive, section every single year, especially if you don't have fresh titles which are gonna be selling. Now, at the same time, they have been selling Cyberpunk a lot alongside with The Witcher, especially when Cyberpunk Update 2.0 dropped along with the Phantom Liberty expansion. Their sales have been going up a lot, so that means the money is coming in, but you can't really stay and do that for the next 8 years or even longer, because eventually that money is going to dry out. And of course, you have the investors. That is this world of business that, it is what it is. So realistically, I would say that 2027 would be okay for the next Witcher game, but even still, look, everything which I say about the release date is speculation. Outside of CD Projekt, we don't have any actual idea when is this, coming out, and there has been no official reveal when it comes to that, so everything right now is just pure speculation. So TLDR overall is that the next Witcher game, or well, the first game of the new trilogy, is gonna be their next title, and after that, you have the actual remake of The Witcher, you have the spin-off of The Witcher, and you also have the sequel to Cyberpunk 2077 and Hadar, but that's gonna be a while until we see that, a long while. Now, in the other news, we also have The Witcher 3 Red Kit contest. So CD Projekt Red has started a new competition when it comes to modding in general. So the actual category for this competition are going to be the actual quest mod. So this is what they said. In our main challenge, we invite you to craft a completely new quest line. Here's your chance to tell your own tale and forge an adventure of your own making, whatever that might be. For each submission, we'll be looking for creativity, originality, and technical excellence to shine through. Here are some quick guidelines you should know. You can enter individually or in teams up to 5 people. A quest line should include 2 to 3 interconnected quests, so basically it's not going to be just one quest, it's going to be an actual quest line where you're gonna be having different quests on top of it. And also the submission deadline is the October 14th, 2024, so there's definitely a lot of time until this competition ends, which makes sense because it takes a while to create these things, especially give the people opportunity who are new into modding or basically Red Engine to kind of learn it and also go and make some more mods. They also have some modding challenges, like for example, challenge 1 would be summer vibes, where they're asking that you make a summer clothing for any character in the game whatsoever. And I think this is really cool because at the same time, you're gonna be filling up Nexus mods with more mods, and you're gonna be rewarding the community for making it and working on those things. When it comes to the rules, of course, whether you decide to participate in the marathon of our main category or sprints of our smaller modding challenges, you get a chance to showcase the breadth of your imagination and modding skills to the entire community. But there are some rules you'll need to follow. To make mods eligible, you must use the Witcher 3 Red Kit, a tool available for free for every owner of the Witcher 3 on Steam, GOG or Epic Games. Now, do not create not safe for work mods, infringe any copyrights or use AI whatsoever. Now, of course, I'm going to leave the link to this website down below. You can go through a full rules and terms and conditions which do apply here. And also on top of that, they are actually proud to announce that they have been partnering with Nexus website, which is the site that we use, Nexus Mods, for every single mod list that I make, and it's the biggest modding website out there. They're gonna be one of the partners in the actual Red Kit 3 modding contest. This is really cool, and I just cannot wait to see all of the mods which people have been creating, and I'm sure I'm gonna be showcasing them on this channel as well. Having an ability to do this in the new Red Kit is amazing, and hopefully one day this also arrives for Cyberpunk 2077, because I think it would be amazing. Now for the end, when it comes to Cyberpunk 2077, a lot of people have been asking what's happening with the new patch, which has been kinda teased for Cyberpunk itself. Now do keep in mind that when it comes to Steam DB, the CDPR internal QA has been updated 9 days ago. Honestly, this internal QA has been here for a while, so we shall see what the actual patch is going to be. A lot of people are hoping for the FSR 3 update, which we'll see if it's gonna be there, especially if you go to the AMD FSR website. Cyberpunk is still present under the banner which says FSR 3, so we'll see what's gonna be happening with this in general. I did actually post a video showcasing a mod for frame generation of FSR 3, which is doing wonders in the game, so I cannot wait for the official implementation of FSR 3 in the game as well. But for the time being, we cannot know this because there is no way to find out how big the update, the patch is going to be, or what is it going to have, just based on Steam DB in general. And especially because, as they said a long time ago, and even Gabe Amantangelo, game director for Cyberpunk 2077, said that they're not gonna be abandoning the game completely, even though, like for example, in the graph, we don't have anyone working on Cyberpunk 2077, so from time to time, they're gonna be releasing some updates and little patches here and there, but when it comes to bigger content, that's not going to be the case anymore, because right now everything is gonna be going into other projects, especially the new Witcher game. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. This was everything that we know about it so far. When they release some new information and some more info in general, I will be making a video about it. And I have a new Cyberpunk 2077 mod list coming out soon as well, and as soon as I'm done working on it. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to click that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed this video, and also check us out on Twitter and Discord and join our community there. Also, huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. This is LKM signing out, and we'll see you very shortly with a new video. Bye bye.